Hey, welcome to my studio, guys. This is just, I guess, a little DIY thing. Something I've noticed over the years doing photography is oftentimes we as artists do things that we think is just kind of normal until we find out that somebody else is like, well, what is that? What did you just do? And I had a similar experience this week now. We're talking about starting out and having our own little studio equipment, I guess, homemade DIY stuff. So starting out, I think most of us can relate to that situation, creating what we need before we have the funds to buy what we need. One guy mentioned a PVC backdrop. I'm sure many of us have tried that. I even still have one. Haven't used it in a while, but I still have my PVC backdrop. The other thing I mentioned that I do have, that I do still use, and I've had it for many, many years, is my sticks in a can. And one lady very quickly responded, a stick in a what? You know, what is that? Let me know more. So I thought I'd make this video. I went onto YouTube to try and find the original video that I found, which inspired me to make my sticks in a can. But to no avail, I couldn't find it again. So I thought I'd just make my own video and just introduce you to the effectiveness, the usefulness of a stick in a can. They are so diverse that you can do anything with them, from hanging backdrops on them to using them as, or others call them V-flats, like a polystyrene board that you use to either reflect light or absorb light if you paint it black. You can do the same thing with these as well, set them up in any kind of arrangement. And the great thing is they take minimal space. So let me introduce you to my sticks in a can. So over here on the left I have literally my sticks in a can. I have 4 kids, so having 4 kids, I had the great opportunity to have plenty tins of Nido over the years. So Nido comes in a nice big tin. I guess the other thing they can use is the giant size Milo tins, but really any tin that's of substantial size will work for you. So basically you get hold of a tin and go over to Builders and get yourself a little bit of concrete, and you fill it in with some concrete, stick a piece of wood in, and well, before you stick the wood in, I recommend drilling holes. So I try to keep the holes equal distance apart all the way up. This way they may become quite compact. When you aren't using them, you can collapse them down onto each other, bolt them on. And I have 2 sets of bolts with butterfly nuts, just to make it easier for me to tighten and untighten with my hand. Let me get some light onto this. You can see the butterfly nuts. So that just makes it easier to set up. So you take it apart, you can extend this. So here's another set on this side that I've now set up. I've extended them a little bit higher. And as a crossbar, I've used a handy painter's pole. Now the nice thing about a painter's pole, a lot of equipment that or the backdrop stands you get, they also come with an extendable crossbar, but it's in segments of about 1 meter, 1.2 meters, somewhere around there. So you're limited by how much width you can have. So it's either segments of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 type of meters. With the painter's pole, depending on the size that you have or the space that you have, you can do anything to the millimeter of the space that you need. So my painter's pole is literally about 1 meter, 1.5 meters painter's pole. So simply by loosening this, you can extend it to whatever length you need, and it doubles in as a crossbar. So here's my crossbar on this side here. So I only needed about a 1.2, and to hold it in place, I have these trusty electrical conduit brackets. I just put a bolt in the top, and that allows me to just strap it in. So loosening it, I simply just, I don't take it all out, I just loosen this a little bit, and that gives enough play underneath here to lift that up, slip a pole in and out from there, so I can slip that in and out there. So just by loosening this up here, so I can pop that back in, tighten it up, and I have a very sturdy and secure crossbar on my sticks in a can. So what I'm going to show you today is basically using this as a diffusion. So I hang a piece of white linen down the middle here. I've got 2 lights set up just to get even distribution of light, and I'm going to set up a table here in the middle. So what I want to show you is the nice minimal space that this takes up. If you look at the painters, the Nido tin at the bottom, it takes up less than 20 centimeters squares. 20 centimeters squared, whereas you take a backdrop stand, you're looking at least a meter square of your studio floor space that's taking up. So these painters or sticks in a can are ideal for small studios, home studios where you're limited space, and also they're quite sturdy. So you'll note also I've mounted this crossbar on the inside of this pole. So if you run it down here, you'll see the pole is placed in the back of the can. So the front edge is actually taking up the weight. If I had mounted it on the reverse end, it's easily to tilt over that way. Whereas with it being on the front end, it's a bit more sturdy. So the weight hangs off the front edge here rather than off the back edge, making it a lot more sturdy. So let me quickly set up my my table and cloth, and we'll do a quick shoot from there. Okay, so table's all set up. Just going to use this little speaker quickly as a demo, subject to shoot. Now, I've got my lights evenly distributed through the light here. I just want to drop this sheet down a little bit, just to allow more light. I guess the more layers you got, the less light that comes through, but the more diffusion happens. So I just want 2 layers of cotton on here. Okay, and now you can also use additional clamps to clamp this fast to the sides of it to get a real rigid and clean look, so there's no wrinkles and creases, especially if you're shooting something that's reflective. You don't want any creases and stuff in the reflection, so you can stretch that out, but for this it won't be necessary. And then just to help out with the dark side of this subject, I'm just going to use a reflector, and once again I'll put my stick in a can nice and close to my subject this side, and I can just clamp it straight onto the top of the stick. So using these, so quick and versatile. That's my setup, all done in pretty much real time. So I'm going to quickly take a shot of this, and we're going to show you the results, or the difference between using this so easily to diffuse a bit of light here versus just direct harsh light. So this can be used basically as a diffusion or as a reflection. So I could have angled it in like a V flat and had a nice bounce light with my lights facing from the front. Or I could even use it as a backdrop stand as well. So having it at the back as a backdrop and sweeping backdrop off of my sticks in a can. So let's do a quick shoot and I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Okay, so that's one with the diffuse light. Let's take a quick look at the direct light. Not using my sticks in the can. So this is really cheap. Piece of material, a couple of sticks in the can, tins, a bit of concrete. You can get maybe 200, 250 Rand, maybe 300 Rand max, depending on where you're buying it from. So another shot quickly. And a huge difference, as you can see, in the diffused light. On the direct light, there's a lot more light coming through, so a bit more brighter reflection off the reflector as well. But yeah, so literally I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I still use this on a regular basis for commercial work. Your clients aren't really worried about what your setup looks like, they're worried about the results you get. So from a camping table, piece of Perspex, 4 pieces of wood and 4 cans and a reflector, I've got everything I need as far as studio shooting goes. So don't worry about what you have. I hope this helps a lot, that you're able to make something out of this. Something I have found over the years, and I've mentioned to a couple of photographers before, is I think sometimes we think that the more professional we become, the better equipment we need to have. And at times, I think I've also fell in the same boat as well, where we end up investing in too much equipment, and it's the equipment itself that limits our skill level, because we buy something, we spend a lot of money on it, we think, well, I have this thing, I have to use it, how can I use it in my next shoot? Instead of going to the shoot and thinking, well, I need this kind of light, I need this kind of effect, what can I use to create this effect? So we end up being limited by the equipment we have because we're thinking around our equipment rather than thinking about the individual shoot. So DIY stuff, like I say, clients don't care about what you have or how you get the shot, they just worry about the end result. So if you've got a great portfolio, nothing else matters. So yeah, all the best. Hope you get to make your own sticks in the can and get you started on your own DIY endeavors and adventure. All the best.